topic of the discussion and hit the issues you typically find reluctant. Remove the facade to fill the gap with some substance. We undermining problems, expecting to overcome it. Please hold the applause. We doing it for the cause. People follow culture before they follow the laws. We rather face the friction and not attempt it at all. Persistence will find solutions once our contentment dissolves. There's a hard pill to swallow for anyone breathing, both for folks who stay woke and those who be dreaming. We ain't slaves, yet we still ain't experienced freedom. What we need is the keys to access the kingdom. We're all in this fallen world trying to stay intact. I'm just a beggar, point you out to where the bread is at. So follow the breadcrumbs like Hansel and Gretel. Thank Yogi Bear and the thought engineer for that on Man Talk Monday. It's Man Talk Monday. Woo!
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back once again. Man Talk Mondays on your computer screen, your TV screen, your phone, your device. We everywhere. We everywhere. We in the house.
Yes.
I'm Derek, the thought engineer, here with my man, comedian John Yogi. How you feeling tonight, man?
Man, Puerto Rico don't owe me nothing, sir. Puerto Rico don't owe me a thing, brother, because we have
some blood, man. Them mosquitoes and suck me dry, brother. Them mosquitoes tore me up, man.
The mosquitoes say if you're gonna come through after a hurricane, you got to pay the toll. And this the toll.
I was been scratching right now, man. Oh my goodness,
brother. The closer it got to sleepy time, the worse my scratching started, man. It was a good time, but the mosquitoes made you pay.
Oh man, great time, beautiful place, man. Just everything was beautiful about it, man, and definitely enjoyed it. Man, we got a high. Yeah.
What was it? We took the family over there. And man, with your friends. We had, bro, with the forever friends. What was it?
Yeah, man. Couple of forevers. Yeah.
Yes,
couple of forevers.
Had an awesome time, man. Yeah.
It was awesome. It was great.
Yes.
Well, we got a hot one for you tonight. We want to jump into this. So let me just remind everybody, this is Man Talk Mondays. This is an open forum. We talk about everything from religion to politics to relationships, especially relationships. We hit you with the relationship topics a lot. So this is what we dig into. But of course, we're doing it from a man's perspective. But keep in mind, this is not just for men. We want everybody to participate, join in, men, women, boys, and girls, children of all ages. You can hop in the conversation. How you do this, go into the comment section, leave your comment, leave your question. We can see it, and this is how you talk to us, but we want to hear from you. By all means, we want to hear from you. So just say, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Subscribe to our podcast. You find us on Apple and Google, Spotify, Spreaker, a lot of different platforms you can find us on. Whichever one you favor, you can find us there. It's Man-Talk Monday. Make sure you put that hyphen in there, Man-Talk Monday. And then you can find us on your favorite platform. Also, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Yes. Don't just listen. Subscribe. Tell your friends.
Absolutely. Don't be stingy. Don't be stingy out there. Don't be selfish. You share this with somebody. Because everybody knows at least one person that they say, oh, they need to hear this.
Exactly. And for all my people who have a Roku TV or a Roku device, you can catch us live on your TV right now. You can catch us at BS3 TV on Roku. That's the channel, BS3 TV channel on Roku. You can find us live right now on your TV. Also, you can go back and you can catch past episodes. We have an on-demand feature that you can catch all our past episodes since we've been on BS3. You can find that there as well. BS3 has some great content, great podcasts. It's a whole network of great podcasts. So you go and find something you like. You'll find something you like. Also, if you don't have a Roku device, we have a direct web link that you can check us out. It's bs3tvlive.com. bs3tvlive.com. But by all means, we want you to check us out. We want to hear from you. Now, we aren't going to prolong the time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go get into it. Now it's time for our segment we call Man, Talk About It.
Today on our today we're gonna be talking about dreams and distractions. And the ironic thing about it is no one really cares about what your intentions are when it comes to being distracted. Everybody goes in with a mind that says, hey, this is what I'm going to accomplish. And then something else says, no, we know where your heart is, so this is what we're gonna do. So let me get into my story. So I was in school when I was taking typing. This must have been around I think it must have been around the 9th grade, and I had every intention on going into typing about 90 or 100 words a minute because I'm quick with the hands like that. So as I was struggling in the class, the teacher said, I have a suggestion. Why don't you move over here? And I think you'll do better if you're typing over here by such and such. And I got in front of such and such, and I was like, ain't gonna be no typing, cause she is bad. She was bad. And rather than me looking at my keys, I was looking at her like this. And my typing plummeted. It plummeted. I went from typing 30 words to about 10 words. And my mom came up there and she was like, say, what is going on with John and his typing code? He is terrible. Terrible. And she came to see where I was sitting at, and she saw the girl, and she says, and she loved to tell a story. Oh, that's why right there. That's little girl. That's why right there, because he looking at her and her chest way more than he looking at anything else. You know. And when you're in school, I was so embarrassed, but it was so true. And sometimes when we're trying to get things accomplished, the enemy will come in and say, I know what you really desire. And I had kind of I guess I had a crush on her, but I didn't know it. It wasn't really revealed until she was sitting in front of me looking. Whew, yeah. Devil, get out, devil. Devil, you get out of here. Devil, you get out of here. Get behind me, Satan.
So you was mesmerized, huh? You was.
Oh, brother, she was pretty. She was pretty, and yeah, she had everything working. So my typing went from minimum to none, sir. Minimum to none. Because you really have to be really focused to type well, because you got to have everything in the right place, especially when you're learning. So.
All right. Tramisha says, hey, fellas, I just saw Drake. LOL, different Drake, darn it. But I'll stay for the combo. Right. Well, this Drake, he hot too, right?
Yeah.
He got that fire music too, so don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Matter of fact, we're going to go ahead and get into this because distractions are everywhere. But when you are chasing your dream, they seem to increase. How do you deal with it?
Well, and something I was talking about earlier. They say chance. They said life and chance comes to everybody, but when you're successful or attempting to be successful, it would appear they come across a lot more when you're chasing success, because everybody want to be attached to something or somebody that exudes success.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. So this young man he on his way. He on his way. He's the next. Whatever you need him to be, he the next. So
also, the song that you hear coming on, that's by him as well.
Yes, this is the man behind our intro. The voice you hear on our intro, this is this young man, and we won't hold him up any longer. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Antonio Drake.
Hey, D, did you ever?
What's going on?
How you feeling tonight, man?
I'm feeling good. I'm glad to be here with y'all, man. Y'all came out to my spot, man. Now I get to come and join y'all in y'all spot, man. So I truly appreciate y'all having me on.
Oh, definitely appreciate you being here, man.
I must say I felt a little when I went to your spot, I felt a little out of place at first. You go in and everybody, I think I heard everybody say, "Okay, here come the old man in here." I said, "Oh, I need to start down."
Nah, get out of here, man. Look, I stepped out for a split second and I seen somebody get out this car real nice, like suited and booted. I was like, hey, who is that?
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
then I said, oh yeah, that's it. That's superstar John Yogi.
Man, go somewhere, man. Go somewhere.
Nah,
Good there,
man,
bro.
you was clean.
Oh, thanks, man.
I think he had secret service with him too. Then a couple people
Yeah,
secret service with him.
yeah.
Yeah, man. Bodyguards and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, y'all did quit.
That's how he roll. That's how he
It
roll.
was a good time, man. It was a good time.
I mean, I appreciate it. I had a great time having y'all out there, man. It was live.
So with the new album that's out, tell us about it.
Yeah, man. New EP, new project. My debut project, to say the least. Dreams and Distractionz. Man, it's not too much to say, man. It's, go check it out, go get it. I love for people to understand. Brother Derek will understand almost more than anybody, man. I've been working on this for a long time. I've had this in the bag for a long time in my arsenal. And I think, to your point, I was talking a little earlier in this, just God had to take me through a lot of things, like in the process of when I conceived the idea for Dreams and Distractionz. From that point up until, it released, there was a lot of things that I went through and had to go through in order to write and, get everything out onto that album. It's funny. It's almost like, my dad always said as he a minister, and he was like, he always told me, any sermon that he preached or any word that he gonna give, he was like, hey man, God gave this for me, and this is for me first. And if you can get anything out of it, you get it, And so I understood that, okay, everything that I'm going through is for this, it's for this. And so I need to get it and put it down, put it down on the tracks.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. It always hit a little different when it's something you've experienced. Let me just say, one of the greatest storytellers you're gonna find, this young man right here. One of the greatest storytellers you're gonna find. I'm not lying to you. I'm not hyping him up. I've listened to him. When he's rapping, when he's putting it together, you are picturing what he's saying.
Remember the one about I Thought You Were Saved?
Oh, I thought
Remember
you were
that
a
one?
Christian.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you're taking me back.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So some of you may have heard him refer to me as Brother D. We've been with this young man ever since he was a kid, and he's a grown man now. I got his own family and the whole nine. So he know me back from my Brother D days when he first me. I was just Brother D at the church.
Yeah, man.
But we've seen him grow. We've seen him mature, and it's awesome. It's awesome to see who this young man has become now. And so we wanted to bring him in for this conversation. He had the idea about Dreams and Distractionz. And tell us where that idea came from, Dreams and Distractionz. Why you went this way with the album?
Yeah, everything about me has been all about dreams, right? Like going for the dream, chasing the dream, just living the dream that God has given you. Like everything's been about dreams. But then as I spent time with you two, as kind of as we was coming up, I started to see, like, just as equal as your dreams is and how passionate, you are about getting to the dream. That's how equally distractions are coming at you in your life. Like, there's always a yin and a yang in life. And so those two are that yin and that yang. It's that crazy balance. You're not going to easily get to your dream, whoever you are, whatever it is that you're going for. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be challenges. There's going to be something. And honestly, a lot of those things are actually good for you. It's good for you in the sense, like it makes you the person that you need to be to actually achieve the dream and to actually get there. But, along the way, it's some tough decisions you got to make, in between there. But yeah, that definitely Dreams and Distractionz was huge to me.
Stephen Powell said, dreams and distractions. Fire. Question is, which one reflects you? Ah, he's right. Which one reflects you? So, dreams and distractions. Now, you said as you're going for the dream, you seem to find the distractions are increasing along with it.
Right.
And because a lot of people don't understand, we can pass judgment on people all day about, oh man, you should have known better. Oh, I can't believe they did that and all this type of stuff. But I don't think people really realize, man, what comes along with the attention. Because you're talking about a rap career, and this throws you into a limelight, man. How are you managing this increase in attention that you're getting?
Man, I'm you know, you take it a day at a time, but you know, I've had wise counsel around me to know that, you know, some of the things that you can kind of put up for yourself to help you. One, you gotta be able to identify your own devices, and you gotta know what they are. So, you know, so you need to be able to identify what can possibly be your distractions. And then, you know, that comes with just knowing who you are. But then you got to put up, you know, roadblocks, you know, or things around you to be able to help you, you know, either, you know, identify it early and, you know, be able to move away from it. So I've put brothers around me. My circle is very I was very precise with the people who I have in my circle and very intentional. And all my brothers do a great job of like keeping me accountable. You know, even my wife included, you know, keeping me in line and, you know what I'm saying, helping me to stay off, you know, get off the rock, like not be able to fall off track, you know. So
shout out to the wife. Give a shout out to the wife real quick.
For sure.
Mrs. Drake, Miss Nikki, holding him down.
So Tony, what would you say to the person that's trying to get this stuff accomplished by themselves, with no people around them? They think they just need them and their wife, and they can do everything. What would you say to them?
I mean, I would just say again, the number one thing is to identify, you know, what your devices are, what you struggle with, or things that you know, if this come up, it's gonna be a problem. I might need to stay away from here, or you know, I go here. If it's someplace you gotta go, you're doing business or you're doing whatever, and you know it's gonna be some there that can, you know, you know, to fall off or whatever, then you gotta take somebody with you. You gotta do something to put yourself in a better position. You know that, you know, so that you won't be distracted.
You know, I hear people all the time. They talk about new levels, new devils. I hear people say that, and I try to tell people it's not. No, that devil ain't new. It's just the level of how hard the devil coming changes. You know what I'm saying? It's like the devil's not gonna bring something to you that you not gonna accept. He know what you like, so he gonna bring it at a harder level. So you was at the Chips Ahoy level, but now he started coming with the crumble cookies in the Cookie Society level. You know, it's still cookies though. He know what you like.
I never forget.
Bigger.
I never forget when I went to audition for Laugh-A-Palooza with Jamie Foxx, and the closer you got to Jamie Foxx, different the women start looking. So as you on the outside, the women look normal. They just like everybody else. But at the closer you get to him, the more like Lisa Ray everybody looks. And I ain't talking about old Lisa Ray today. I'm talking about Lisa Ray back then.
To my diamond, huh? You to my diamond.
Hey, that's real. And fortunately, my wife was with me, and she noticed. She was the one that pointed it out to me, like, "Excuse me, but do you see this going on here?" And I was like, "Girl, I don't see nothing."
I'm blind. My name is Lee, and I can't see.
That is real.
It's real talk. It's real talk, man. It's the closer we got to them,
it's real.
The more about the better everybody start to looking, and the way they carried it. It was completely different, man.
But I'm glad you was able to. I'm glad, you know, Miss Cheryl was able to encounter that with you,
Yes,
No,
absolutely.
because you're in the entertainment industry as well, and so I know a lot of talks that we've had. I learned a lot from you as well, and I'm able to see now. At first, me being in this industry, my wife wasn't too fond of it. And I mean, I understand, but she kind of knew where I was anyway before the entertainment industry. And so she kind of knew me. But to now, be able to have a partner who you can actually look out here that you with me, you see the real, and you don't shun it as if like it don't exist. But you together, y'all are both like, hey, you see this, like you see this. You know what I'm saying? Like when you can have a real conversation with your partner and know, like, hey, like this is really out here, and you know what I'm saying, like you can laugh about it, or you know what I'm saying, you can you just have fun with it rather than I have my times where I gotta be like, hey, I'm not looking at nothing, I only have eyes for you, you know what I'm saying, you had those times that it's just like, hey, you need that, in order to make sure that you're not being fake, or you don't pretend things ain't out here that's out here.
But they out there.
So
Out there.
we had the recent, Ime Idoko, the coach for the Celtics. Long relationship, Neil Long, and everybody now is, I don't even, that thing was said about the Neil Long thing and everything else, but they on him about the whole Neil Long, man. But this guy, like we were talking, he was in the NBA, but now he's the head coach of a prominent team, a historic team, and he's a young black man. And why do people fall victim to the new attention? He's getting a whole lot of a different attention now. Why do people fall victim to new attention?
Oh man, he on a whole nother level. That's what we were talking about earlier. I didn't know him personally. I didn't know who he was when he was in the NBA as a player.
Right.
But as he's became head coach of the Boston Celtics, which is a very prominent team, next to the Lakers, they are the top dogs in the NBA as far as legacy is concerned. So now you're the head coach and you take them to a championship. Like everybody knows you now. Like everybody knows you. You probably get more play today than he did as an NBA player. And so that's something that, like we were talking about earlier, it may not be a new devil. The devil's still the same, but he on a much higher level where like John was alluding to, he closer to that Jamie Foxx, to that Jamie Foxx page, and he rubbing shoulders with them, constantly. So, that's
well,
that's tough.
Well, one thing people have to understand as well is the more successful you are, the more yeses you'll get. Oftentimes when we trying to achieve success, there are some things that we reach for, and people say, "No, your money ain't right," or "No, your coins ain't lining up," and that kind of thing. But as soon as they start lining up, people give people that have money more stuff than they do to people that really need it. You're liable to go into a store, and because they know you can afford it, they'll give you those jackets. They'll give you that stuff. But when you can't, they ain't giving you nothing but a credit application so you can try to put that on your Visa or something. And I think it's the same with success. The more successful you are, man, the more yeses that you're going to get when it comes to infidelity, and perhaps people wouldn't think about sleeping with you if you wasn't successful, because everybody's like, what's in it for me? Why is it worth it?
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
Because it has to, at that particular level, it has to be worth it.
Yep.
And if it's not worth it, people will shun you and to keep it moving, won't pay you no attention.
100%.
Mika says, victim to new attention. That's good because it happens. My daddy says, like many others, new level, new devil. And we just talking about that new level, new devil. And really, as much as we say it's a new devil, it's just a new level of challenges. Yeah. But your character test has gone to a whole nother level. It's like you work out, you get used to 200 pounds after a while, but now you try to kick it up to 250, you're struggling.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So you got to be able to adjust to that. But when you chasing dreams, you know this is where you going. You know this is where you believe it. I'm gonna be big. I'm gonna be that dude. You know, how do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare yourself for where you're going? So, hey, this your story don't be like a M.A. Doko or somebody.
Yeah. Well, my story is different, man. So like I got to, you know, whether it's fortunate, unfortunate, I got to get into my relationship before my stuff really took out. Before I even debuted my first project, my first album. And that's something I always talk to one of my close partners, Ja One, about. You know, we always was like, man, we knew that we're gonna make it. It's just a matter of time. But it was just like we really hoped that we would find the one that's gonna, you know, join us on this journey before we get in there. You know, because you know, because so many things gonna come with that. One, you don't know if, you know, you can come across any situation, sleeping with everything under the sun, and, you know, end up having babies all over the place, or you could come across a lady who just, you know, who just wants you for the success that they see, and not actually who you are as a person. And so, you know, I actually was blessed to get married before, you know, all this is coming, and, you know, I'm actually still, you know, in the process of getting to the dream. So it's just like, that, you know, that it was different for me in that aspect, you know, for me to be able to, like, I got my partner now, and now I got to just be more conscious, you know what I'm saying, how I'm moving, which, you know, I need to be anyways. But
so Ms. Afia says it's so easy to cheat. Some of these women are thirsty for a man with power and money. Loyalty goes out the door. He made a choice, and now the consequences were definitely not worth it. Talking about Ime Udoka. Listen, man, I remember, now I had no money. I remember being in high school, and I'm on the football. I played football ever since 5th grade. But my senior year, I go from being just a guy on the team, so I'm the starting quarterback. And things changed. And this was my first time experiencing how weird that new place is. People that I had, girls that I had been friends with, I'm just a good friend. All of a sudden, they find it hard to talk to me. You know, they stopped talking to me. Now I'm getting messages through their friends talking about, you know, she like you, right? And I'm like, we've been knowing each other all since we was little. You know what I'm saying? We've been around each other. Why is it changing now?
Wow.
And I gotta admit, man, that was my first taste of that type of experience. And dude, I feel miserable. I ain't gonna even lie. I feel miserable. I was like a kid in the candy store, boy. I was like, woo, this is what we doing? Okay. And things happen that you know what I'm saying, I'm not proud of. Dude, I didn't really understand what it was. I didn't have that guidance and everything for somebody to say, all right, you know, things gonna change for you when you become that dude. So becoming that dude, man, is a hard deal. How should men deal with this?
But think about this, D. Think about if you were 22 or 23, and now you're seeing a level of success you've never seen before, which means you're going to see a level of distraction. Let's say that you've never seen before. And let me say this: distraction doesn't always have to be about a woman.
Absolutely.
Distraction could be alcohol, it could be drugs, it could be anything that keeps you from fulfilling the purpose that you were created to do. So, and we got to remember, and because a lot of times we give these kids $20 million a year, $30 million a year, a crazy money, and we expect them to. He should know better. No, why would he know better if he don't have godly influences around him? Why would he know better?
Yeah,
and if you hadn't been through it before, how would you know? How would you know better? How would you handle? How easy is it for you to handle it? Because it's not easy at all. It's not easy to go into a candy store and they say you can have everything in here, and you don't have to pay for it.
Right.
That's where you get a lot of these stories, man. A lot of, for whether it's athletes, artists, you know, you see a lot of, you know, the young ones who they coming up from the hood, they coming up from, you know, a place where they didn't have anything,
Exactly.
Now at their disclosure, exposure, like they have everything like right at their feet, and they could do anything.
Right.
There's a complete difference when you have how people treat you when you have something that they want.
Yeah.
When you have money, you are treated completely different. You come in the store and now they locking the door and they bringing out mimosas. What? Party? What?
Right.
What's this? All this for me? No, I'm just saying.
Red carpet.
You will not believe the level when you reach certain levels how things change. And just like with the Reverend Jamal Bryant, that's his name, dude.
Yeah.
And see,
Bishop,
this is the thing. We have to be honest with ourselves. A lot of times we play with that thing when that booty don't play fair. I'm gonna tell you now, that booty will come. It ain't, bro. It is not.
You talking about Jamal? You talking about John Gray?
I'm talking about John Gray. Yes, him.
You talking about John Gray? I figured that's who. Yeah.
But it don't play fair. It does not play fair. It's not going to be something that you could say no to. It's going to be something you can say, man, I wonder if I can sneak and do that. I wonder if I can sneak and get away with that. Because, for example, Brett Favre going through the money thing where he stole money. He worked for $100 million and he stole money. Why? Well, a lot of times we don't know what our devices are. We don't know what they are. So we discount them and we play. See, we play too much. That's number one. Y'all out here playing it. We play too much. Listen, distractions don't take a day off.
Nope.
They do not take it off. If I can get that money out of you and get you off of what you're supposed to be doing, I can't take no time off.
Yeah.
I think we got to be out here. We got to be on purpose and we got to be focused about what we're doing.
You said, go ahead, Tony.
No, I was just gonna say I think that come along with, a lot of stuff that I learned from Derek is, that come along with early on, if getting to a point where you are working on character and understanding, because like at some point, at any time, you're gonna be tempted with, either sex, power, whether it's sex, power, or
influence,
right? Either one of those, which just could be a distraction at the end of the day, and you're gonna be tempted on your character is gonna be what's being tested at this point. You know what I'm saying? And so if you haven't already had an opportunity to either fall and see, fall in private and see, like, okay, God, like, all right, I hear that you're working on me, you're working on something, so that when that next test does come to you and there's eyes on you, you can actually pass the test. But if your character hasn't been being worked on, and that only really character testing only comes from a test, like you don't know if your character is right until that thing is in front of you. You say you one thing all day, but until like Brother John, unless you allude to, like, unless that booty is in front of you, or unless that big, chunk of money is in front of you, or that power opportunity is in front of you, you don't know where you stand.
That's that big.
R. Kelly said, "It's the pretty brown round." No, let me stop. Hey, but now, because those are, a lot of people focus on the urges around money and sex, and that's a huge distraction. Those are quite obvious. But John, you said something. It's not all about that sometimes. So, what about family distractions?
That's huge.
What about family distractions? Not to say family is a problem, but just when you chasing a dream, how do you manage this portion of it? Because there's a balance. How do you balance it?
No, that's huge. That's probably one of the biggest ones, man. Honestly, despite what we been talking about, that's on the outside looking in. But when you have a family, that's probably one of your biggest distractions, in the sense that there's many things that you got to sacrifice. That's your time. There's a lot of things that where when you're a youngin' and you have the opportunity before you have a family, you have all ample opportunity to go after your dream, to fail, to invest all the money, the little money that you do have, to take risk, to do all of that before you start but the more you start adding responsibility to your plate, the harder it gets to get up there. the more weight you're putting on your shoulders, and it's gonna be on your shoulders because you're the man of your family and you're the one who got to lead them to the promised land. It's just more weight that you add to your shoulders in order to get there. So essentially, you make it a bit harder, and not saying that you can't still do it, but you just got to know that it's gonna be a tougher road.
I guess to echo kind of what Tony's saying, it's like to me, I kind of equated to having the Jackson 5. And the reason why groups break up so easily is because all it takes is one person to throw the whole thing out. I keep waiting for Drew Hill to come back on concert, but that big dude would not do it.
Jazz.
I keep waiting for Drew Hill to come back. I'm like, dude, this big dude get up to the door and be like, nah, I'm good. I'm like, dude. But I equate that to trying to get a group together to sing constantly, and everybody have one vision for the group, not 5. Not, well, I'm just trying to do this long enough to get money to do. Dude, that is the most difficult thing with your family, especially when me and Cheryl started this journey together. We had the same. She was perfect for what I was trying to do. When I needed to leave her at home, she was perfect. She was perfect for that. When I needed to go on the road and be gone for a while, she's perfect. When I had to have her with me, she was perfect. We always were on one page because we wanted the same thing. But if at any point somebody wants something different, if somebody wants something different other than the reason why you want it for, y'all gonna be the Jacksons. Y'all gonna be Drew Hill. And somebody gonna be big dude trying not to sing. It's gonna always be a David Ruffin in the group. So you got to sniff the David Ruffin out and make sure he's on the same page.
You know, I remember hearing a pastor say one time, he was talking to a group of leaders, and he says you can't progress beyond your partner's pain point. He said you have to examine their pain point. So if that new attention that you're starting to get, or because we just talked about a couple of weeks ago, we talked about what was emotional deprivation. You not giving that person what they need or what they feel they need because your time is so divided. Because when you're on the front end of a dream, man, it's time consuming. So how do you make them okay? How do you make sure they're fine, but at the same time saying, all right, I'm still chasing this thing. You agreed to come along on the ride with me, but how do you manage? Because that's a real thing that happens, man. You start chasing the dream, and because your time is limited, that person feels a certain way, and now home falls apart. How does a man deal with that, or anybody?
Yes,
we've been having conversations.
We're asking the audience, how y'all deal with that? How do y'all deal with that? Right.
Afia says, I think when you're going out to getting it, in your mind, you're thinking about your family as far as providing for them. However, most of your family wants your time. It's a tough balance sometimes. She has a great point.
Yeah,
a great point.
Because I think the misconception is when you're chasing the bag, you think the bag is the do-all, be-all. And when you get older, you realize it's not. It takes us to get older and to have the bag to say, whoa, I thought this was going to be the answer to all of my dreams. When you have a dysfunctional relationship with your kids because you didn't spend time with them like you should, or you and your wife hidden and missing. I never forget, I was making some money doing some stuff. I was always gone. And my oldest son, we used to have family night on Fridays, and I started missing family nights. And I was getting ready to go. I came home. I was getting ready to go out to get this money. And he said, Dad, you leaving? I was like, yeah, I'm finna go. The bag out there. I got to go get this bag. He said, oh, so we're not going to have family night again? And at the time, I didn't grasp it like I'm grasping it as I'm talking about it now, because eventually family night went away because Dad was trying, and that was something that my children were looking. That's what he looked forward to. And now as he's older, I'm trying to reconnect with him like I did back then. But he's like, no, you took family night. That was our time, so now I'm finna do my thing.
Dang.
Yeah.
So that's as real as I've ever been on here. But that's the truth. That is God's honest truth.
That's huge. That's huge.
That's
I think
real,
I'm learning
man.
that's we're learning to value what needs to be more valued. You know what I'm saying? At first, I thought the dream was everything. The dream was everything to me. And it's still a big part of me, because I feel like this is what we feel like that's what we're put here to do. Like if you have a dream, a lot of times it's something you feel like you've been put here to do. But then at the same time, like when you have a family, you have a wife, you have kids, you begin to learn the true value system, like what makes you happy. I heard I was watching something earlier today. It was an interview with Shaq, and he got to talking about he said, man, like, you know, he was like, man, I'm messed up, like, you know, going out here, basically talking about, you know, his infidelities or whatever. But he was like, you know, my biggest and proudest and happiest moments was when I would come home and these 6 little kids are just saying, "Daddy, daddy, daddy, daddy," like daddy, daddy, like that. That was my happiest moments. But then I sat here and I bought this 7,000 square foot home, and I put all these rooms in here, the entertainment, all this, that, and the third, and now I'm the only one sitting in here.
Wow, that's a wake up call, man. That is a wake up call. And I remember him saying when the whole Ime Doko thing came out about him cheating, they went to Shaq on one of them shows. They went to Shaq. Shaq he said, I can't talk about that. He said, I'm not a perfect man. He said, I've failed. I've made mistakes, and my mistakes have cost me. So I'm not even in a position where I can even speak on that man. I was like, nothing but respect, man.
For real.
Nothing but respect. Tramisha says, I think communication is key. Dreamers need to be honest with your partner / family and hear their open and honest opinion. As the one supporting a dream, speak up about distractions, because sometimes you can see what the dreamer can't. This is good. And you have to be receptive. They have to be receptive. Wow. And that, man, the trust that you have to have, especially with your spouse, the trust that you have to have, that because it's so easy for you to say, oh, you just tripping. Oh, you don't want me to do such and such. And they're trying to warn you, and they really, you know what I'm saying? So having that trust level is key. So let me say in practical terms, if you are not married, you on the front side of chasing your dream. If you're going to be with somebody, before you lock in, all this has to be discussed. All this has to be talked about, and expectations have to be set
on the table.
Listen, you know who I am. You know I don't have that much time. So maybe this person is somebody who doesn't need a lot of time because they got their own thing working. So it's like, hey, as long as we can see each other this day, whatever, I'm good. If you got that, but if it's a person that needs all of your time, you probably need to reevaluate that before you lock into something permanent.
Yeah. 100%.
Because all y'all end up doing is end up hurting each other. Because you will either resent her for stopping you from pursuing your dream, or you'll come back home and the name Johnson will be on the door when you get back home. Your name is Tate. because listen, man,
ain't the only place Johnson gonna be.
It's fun. It's very funny, but dude, this is 100. This is 100. You have to be you. And I just thank God that my wife was so. That was lock in step with what I was trying to do, because in front of me there were opportunities where men were making passes at her in front of me for me to get on show. When I would get on show, she backstage watching, and when I tell you success is not all that's cracked up to be, and we really have to be you really need to talk to people about what it is you want to actually do, because success, there is a price to pay for it. So what are you willing to give up in order to get to success that you actually want? Is it your marriage? Is it your kids? Because it's going to cost something. And that's why it's easier. Right. You know, it's funny. We spend more time complaining about being single than we do chasing our dreams. Because if you're chasing your dream like you're supposed to, you don't have time to worry about nobody, because you're trying to get it. And you can get it the best when you don't have nobody that you're trying to drag along with you. Rather than worried about a man or somebody laying in your bed at night, you need to be focused on being the best version of you can be. Yeah. We don't do that. We worry about everything. We on social media, worry about all these other people with their bag. There's a bag for you as well.
Yeah. And it's not to say that people are dead weight when you're chasing your dreams, but because that person could be somebody like Afia said earlier, or Tramisha said earlier, this person, they're your eyes in the back of your head. They were looking out for you. They scoping the scene because they understand what comes along with what you're doing. And they trying to look out for you and look out for your well-being as well. But that trust level has to be there because you can't question why they're doing it, that they're being selfish and all this type of stuff. They really have your best interest at heart. But I remember my nephew, his mentor, this guy's been CEOs of companies and the whole nine. And my nephew told me, he said one thing he said, I was so about being this big business guy and I've achieved great things in business. He said, but I lost my kids in the process. He said, I don't have that relationship with them like I really wish I had. Was I able to provide for them? Yeah, do all that type of stuff. But that connection, he's still struggling to get that even in his late years. He's trying to have that now, and it's not coming like he wants to. Yeah. So like John said, there's a cost to it. Are you willing to pay it though?
Well, relationships are like bank deposits. You have to put enough in the bank a lot of times to be able to get anything out of them. And a lot of times we put the bare minimum in the relationships. And as we get later in our years, now we want to look back and see what the dividends have we've gotten on them. And it's not much. Right. And you look back and you say, oh, it wasn't getting the interest on it that I thought it was getting because you had hardly put anything in them. Dude, if we right. Because it's funny because we don't really know what's important to us. We think we do. We think we do when we're young and we're out there getting it. But we got to figure out what's really important to us, man. Because you only get out of family what you put in it. You only get out of you only get out of your relationships what you put in them. And the success and money and all that, fame and all that stuff. Y'all better start watching and seeing some of these people that are doing some stuff you want and see what their relationship with their families are if they have them. Because most of them don't.
Yeah.
So how do you? I guess I would ask, like, how do you as a husband, as a father, and then as put whatever your career, your dream is as a recording artist for myself, like how we already understand that we have those three things, and then add however many kids you have, you gotta add multiple to that to like where we have to put our time, right? Like everybody needs their time. Your dream's gonna need its time. Your wife's gonna need her time, and each one of your kids gonna need their time.
Yes.
So I'm talking about a work-life balance, but it's like this is whatever you're focusing on. Something is gonna be diminishing a little bit.
Yes.
And then you gotta go over there and put that up, and something else is gonna diminish a little bit. So kind of where do is there really any perfect balance to it?
Now this is gonna sound real simplistic. It's gonna sound real simplistic. You make a budget for your money, right? And you tell it where to go.
100%.
Why don't we do the same thing with time? Now, when you sit down with you and your spouse, it has to be negotiated. But you get to see how much time is, good for them, how much time you need. You find that balance. But the thing is, you got to stick to what you say. So if you saying, hey, for the next 2-3 months, I'm going to be hitting it hard. So I'm going to be, but at the end of that, we're going to take a vacation. We're going to do a good vacation, do it big. You know what I'm saying? And now you got that in place, but you got to stick with it. So if another opportunity come right when it's time to take that vacation, you got to say no.
Right.
And but trust that opportunity ain't going to leave.
With that, to that point, D, I believe if you structure your time, God will allow something, because this is not nothing that's permanent. This is just something is something to give everybody what they need. People don't always need the same things as they did when you first started. As people mature, as kids go from elementary to high school, they don't need and want you as much. So perhaps you make it cut down with some of that time. I think it changes, and you got to be ready to change with it, because you got to be ready to change.
Anthony Hill says you can't be great at everything. Great discussion. Everything can't be a priority, so something goes on the back burner. And this comes with, like he said, stop trying to do too much.
Right.
Do one thing at a time, hone in on that, and focus your attention on that. And here's the thing, because we believers, we understand God works out the rest.
Absolutely.
Because it's about what's important. If Fia says, I think a good question to ask is, what do you need from me? That's that way they feel they are being heard and felt. That's good. That's good. You ask that person, what do you need from me? What do I have to do to make you feel okay with this whole thing? Mika said, that's good. It's definitely a cost to it. We must provide the balance. It's about the balance. Wesley said, it's about prioritizing what's important to you.
100%.
Anthony says, interesting budget concept. You can always make more money and change the budget. Can't get more time. Yeah, absolutely. But John said something important. He says things change, though. What you need in your 20s is not the same thing you need in your 30s. So you got to go back and make some adjustments. But as long as things are being addressed, and I don't know if Afia Trudy said it earlier, making that person feel heard and honoring what you hear. Got to honor what you hear. It's not just about hearing them. You got to honor what you hear as well. Queen 3 and King says, very good. D, budget your time like you budget your money. Absolutely.
There was an instance when I had the opportunity to do some touring when I was fairly new to comic, and my daughter hadn't started walking yet. And I was going to be gone from 3 to 6 months. And my wife was like, you're going to go? And I was like, man, I can't get back first steps. I can't get back a lot of the stuff that she's going to be doing, the talking and saying, Daddy. I can't get that back. So I sacrificed that to be at home for my wife and my daughter. And it was life hadn't turned out. I'm not as successful as I thought I would be, but I'm fine with that because I got that. Me and my daughter have a great relationship. I'm fine with that because when you get older and start seeing more gray hair, you'll wish you had to spend more time with stuff like that than you would that chasing money or chasing success like that.
That's big.
And I think there's an illusion there that it all has to happen right now. They said what? Exactly. Colonel Sanders, after he stole that recipe from that woman, say he was what, 60 something before he made it big, before he got famous. You know what I'm saying? I remember Steve Harvey he said it was 40 before things started to break for him. He was 40. So the timing of it, I think you're working with the dream in mind because you're saying, hey, this is the dream that's in my heart. If I keep pushing, it's going to happen. But when we start to put a clock on it, when we start to put, that makes us anxious. And when we get anxious, we don't make good decisions.
And we start compromising and doing stuff we wouldn't necessarily do because we put pressure on ourselves to conform and get to a place that might not have been necessarily forced at that particular time. You'll believe me, you'll be a lot more ready for success when you're older than you are when you're younger.
That's good.
Yeah. I remember my old mentor, Dr. Monroe, he said one time, this guy used to go and talk to thousands of people at a time. And he said he took his son with him one time when he went to speak. And one day he decided, I'm gonna take the day off. I'm just gonna take my son horseback ride wherever they were. He said, we was find a place to go horseback ride. Let's just go horseback ride. And he said he took him. He said a few years later when the son got older, he says, man, what is the most memorable thing that about, now you've seen me speak to thousands of people, but he said his son pointed out when he took him horseback riding. Out of all of that, he said that's the thing that stuck with him, that he did that. And so I think we got to look at this as investments instead of you just spending and like consuming. It's an investment. You invest that time early, so later on you can reap the benefits of that more solid relationship. Yeah, I think that's really key. So, man, for anybody out there that has a dream that you're looking at chasing, we just trying to offer hopefully some perspective, some practical, things to think about. If you on the front side, some of you may be in the middle of it and you say, hey, I need to correct some things. And so that's important as well. Uh, for you, Tony, I know you still pushing, but I wanna touch this one right before we go. What about the distraction of failure? What about the distraction of failure? Where, you know what I'm saying, you people not responding to it like you
Oh, boy.
thought they were, or it seems like the rejection is more at on this level. You know what I'm saying? How do
Yeah.
you deal with that failure distraction? Because it'll distract you from, make you want to give up.
Yeah,
So how
it
do you deal
does.
with that?
That's tough, and I'm gonna talk a lot more about that on the next project. I'm already kind of getting to,
Mm.
but that's huge. It's not even just failure, but like, man, I'm getting older. You know, it's like, you know, in the entertainment industry, you know, people just older unless you Jay-Z already or Kanye or something like that. You know, it's like, you
Oh,
know,
look, 2 Chainz was 40, wasn't he?
yeah, two
He was
chains,
40.
too. But but he was that's when he first came.
It's when
Like,
he hit the big scene though. When he hit the
okay,
big scene though. So
okay,
yeah.
yeah. So, but it's still a thing. Like, it's still like, man, like, wait,
Yeah.
are they, you know, are people gonna
Yeah.
be accepting of you? Are they gonna really listen to you? Do you have time? Do you have a window to really get in there? Like, nah, it's definitely something that is apparent and something that weighs on you. But
Mm-hmm.
then I always end up hearing, you know, whether it's just God telling me or whether, you know, I read something or I'm encouraged by somebody. And they're just like, hey man, like, if this is something that God gave you, is something that you know that you put here to do, it's never too late to do it. Like you just alluded to, Colonel Sanders didn't pop until way, you know what I'm saying? He's in
Mm-hmm.
his 60s or
Right.
70s. You know, so
Yeah.
and then one thing that God always let me know too is that, like, your gift and your calling are irrevocable. So it doesn't
Right.
matter how old you get until the day you die. That's something that you are responsible for letting out of you and
Right.
releasing. So, so
Yeah.
with that being said, man, I've always been encouraged to still do it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess my rebuttal to Colonel Sanders is he was 60, he just frying chicken.
Yeah.
He's standing in one spot frying chicken. When you trying to do what Tony's trying to do, and myself, man, you're traveling and going from place to place. It's tiresome, it's worrisome, and it's tiresome. And I have you have to be confident in your abilities, and you have to be really confident in yourself. But most importantly, you gotta have a great relationship with God, and you need a support group for what you do. Oftentimes, I get down on myself because I saw myself a lot more successful than I am doing what I do. God has blessed to where I'm able to come on here with everybody every Monday and be me, be more, be more relaxed doing this than I ever was with comedy. I'm a lot more relaxed
Mm.
doing this, and I feel like I'm probably getting to and helping a lot more people doing this. But you have to be. Man, but I'm not gonna lie and say don't play with your head. Sometimes I'm not gonna lie and say it because it does a
Yeah.
great deal because we you know what I mean. Everybody see themselves as being great. You just got to be great now in your own skin. You know, maybe
Yeah.
God don't call everybody to be in front of millions of people or to sell a million records. So He don't call everybody to do it. You just got to be good in your skin to where God has called you to be in that particular time.
That's good.
That's as much as I can say without crying. So I'm
No, that's real, man.
It's
That's
honest.
real. And I remember, I'm gonna say this real quick. I remember I got the pleasure of blessing the first track on the EP
Yes, sir.
from Tony, and he was like, man, can you write something? Can you put something to this? You know what I'm saying? That you and I just thought about it. Langston Hughes, what happens to a dream deferred?
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Does it drive like a raisin in the sun? And I just recited that because he captured it with that poem that he said. When dreams are deferred, but it doesn't seem like they're going, what happens?
Yeah.
You know, he said, does it start to stink like rotten meat?
Crust.
So
Oh,
is the crust over syrupy sweet? Yeah, man. So we got to be mindful that if God is showing you something, it's real. But you got to believe it, because part of the distraction is you being distracted from the possibilities that it could actually happen. And that's one of the biggest distractions that you got to deal with. But you got to believe. That's why I believe is so important. You got to believe. It's the ones that hold on that see life at the level that we admire.
Yeah.
So,
and that's why it's always been big. Like the thing I say, it's always been big to me. Like a lot of people use that as motivation for the people who don't believe in what they can do. Oh, they don't believe you could do this, and that's what people use as motivation. But really, my biggest motivation has been the people who have believed in me. What about all the people who have believed and supported you thus far? Now I feel like I got to do it for them because they have believed in me, and that belief has been real. So.
All right. Afia says the key is resilience. What is the lesson behind the failure? We need to go back to the drawing board with some support behind you. Absolutely. Absolutely. Great comment. Great comment. Well, we're down at the end, man. So it's time for final thoughts. Final thoughts, Mr. Antonio.
My final thoughts would be, I learned a little bit earlier in the week, and it's funny we're having this conversation that, God always has had a flow. And we need to get on God's flow, on God's rhythm in order. Because when you have a rhythm, so going to what Brother Derek was saying about budgeting your time like you budget your money, when you start to create a rhythm, from that rhythm comes order. And wherever there's order, there's peace. And so that's been the biggest thing to me. You'll be able to avoid chaos and confusion if you find a rhythm and have some order there. You'll be in peace no matter what you're going through. So that's my final thoughts.
My final thought is our lives are a reflection of some of the decisions that we've made. And oftentimes your successes and your failures will come as a result of some decisions that you made. I often think back about a decision that I made not to go and do this, but rather to be at home with my family. I often think of other times I could have went and I was at home with my family. So when your life is a result of decisions that you make, you have to look back and you got to be good with them when you making them. Because most of the time we don't get do-overs. We don't get do-overs, and we need to be happy. We need to think them through and be happy with the ones we made, because that's probably what was best for you anyway. That's my final thought.
One thing we have to understand, we have to remember, God works on a different time schedule than we work on. We get consumed by the clock, which we call chronos time or chronological time, when we see minutes and weeks and days start to pass by. But God works on this time we call kairos time, which means the opportune time. And if we get distracted by the clock, we get anxious and we start making decisions that we should have never made. So just believe. When it happens, it's going to happen at the right time, but you have to believe, just believe it's going to happen. And you got to keep pushing like it's going to happen. You're being made in the process. So you got to go through it with your eyes open. Get your family together. Get everything set in place, because when opportune time hits, there's no more time for preparation. It's go time. But you have to be preparing like that time is going to happen. Regardless of when it's going to happen, you prepare in faith and believing that this is going to happen. Why? Because he showed it to me. If you saw it, it was real. But you got to believe and put legs to your faith and get moving on what you believe God is showing you. And in the opportune time, at the right time, he will make it happen. He says he'll bring it success without sorrow. And you can enjoy all that God has for you in that without all of the regret that most people live out in their lives. So let's be successful and be happy and do it God's way. And that's our King speak for this week. Hey man, we definitely appreciate you hopping on with us tonight. Real quick before we go, tell them real quick where they can find it, the name of it, how to find it, and the whole nine.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad they have it down here on the title, Dreams and Distractions, and that's just Distractions with a Z at the end. So anywhere you find your music, you can definitely find it there. Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music for all my Android people. Anywhere that really has music on their platform, you can actually find it there. So yeah, Dreams and Distractions, again, Distractions with a Z. Or you can just look up the artist Antonio. But yeah, if you look up that EP, definitely go check it out, man. It definitely will bless you.
I can attest to it. It is indeed.
It's good. What's that one? In and out, in and out, in and out. It was good, man. And the one about Plano.
Yes,
yeah.
I ain't put that one on them yet, so
Yeah,
I can't wait to release that one, man. I'm glad y'all got to see that one, but I can't wait to get that out there to everybody for sure.
That's good, man.
And let me say this for those of you who's like, man, I don't know about Christian rap. It's not a Christian rap. Now, he ain't cussing you out every time you turn around, but he's just talking about life. He's giving you good information, and he's telling great stories to some good music. So anybody can listen to it. Anybody can ride to it anytime. You can bump it at church or away from church. It don't matter because it's just good music, man. It's just good music. So go check him out. I want to see some sales. Dog, I want to see some sales. So
yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. We got some great things coming, so stay tuned. Some Man Talk Mondays. We're going to be putting y'all up on it coming up here real soon.
Oh, that's right. We'll start next week. Okay. All right.
Yeah, we hit it with it next week.
Okay.
We out, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to catch y'all next week on Man Talk Mondays. Peace out.
Be blessed.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.